It is difficult to accept, however, even in the new past, orcas were abhorred by people, driven by erroneous data, old stories, and legends that depicted them as horrible animals. Until the 1970s, the U.S. Naval Force prepared their jumpers to stay away from orcas no matter what, as they would make a move to go after a human adrift. And keeping in mind that it is valid these purported executioner whales are regular conceived hunters fit for bringing down blue whales, there has never been a recorded assault on a human by wild orcas. In 1956, the Icelandic government mentioned help from the U.S. Naval Force in resolving the issue of orcas going after their herring fishery. The U.S. answered by dispatching an enemy of submarine air group furnished with 50-type automatic weapons, airplane rockets, and profundity charges to focus on the orcas. Similarly, in English Columbia, salmon anglers campaigned their administration to introduce weighty ordnance firearms on slopes ignoring the inland streams. It was only after we started to keep orcas in imprisonment that we understood they were agreeable, clever animals. A huge measure of Russia exists in the icy circle, and military and examination exercises there are worked with by a segment of the Russian naval force called the Northern Armada. Arriving on a significant number of the islands, on the off chance that you are even ready to, you will promptly encounter hungry bears. Leonid Kruglov, a Russian columnist, reviews the endeavor to Alexandra land. The monster started to seek after us, not withdrawing a solitary step. He didn't respond to rocket launchers, shouts, shots in the air. Powerful craving has driven the bears to disregard fundamental senses chasing food. However, when they endeavored to arrive on one more island in 2019, it was not bears that caused an issue but rather walruses. An enormous male can gauge equivalent to an Evade Charger, 4,400 pounds or 1,995 kilograms. Before the arrival art could arrive at Vilcek Island, it was blocked by an irate walrus. It was thought that this was a mother walrus endeavoring to safeguard her young. The walrus figured out how to board and sink the little boat. Fortunately, the team was adequately close to land for everyone to make it securely to shore. They were then protected by the very much planned activities of the Northern Armada servicemen. On April 30, 1918, Commander Gunther Kreck and his team were caught by the English warship, the HMS Coreopsis. When addressed, Kreck told the English his submarine was harmed and not ready to plunge, guaranteeing the sub had gotten harm during an assault from an ocean beast. The animal was depicted as horned, with little, profound set eyes, masses of gigantic teeth, and a little head. The enormous and in fact odd-looking animal moved onto the vessel, making it take on water. However, with the arrival of records, reality has been uncovered. A team part named Gotchammer reviews how Kretsch had been crisp and demanded a warmer being fitted to the official's compartment. This expected running cabling from the sub through the fundamental trapdoor, which implied it could never again be appropriately sealed. When the English warship was located, the portal was requested closed, and the sub was placed into a jump. Tragically, the lid promptly fizzled, filling the U-boat with seawater. It made the sub re-emerge, leaving the group no decision except for to give up. What's more, in this way, the ocean beast was conceived, out of disgrace and inadequacy. The USS Indianapolis was a U.S. Naval Force cruiser that was sent on a mission in 1945 to convey enhanced uranium for the nuclear bomb, Young Man. In the wake of finishing its main goal, it withdrew for the Philippines conveying a group of 1,195. Not long after 12 p.m., it encountered a Japanese submarine which terminated upon and sank the boat shortly. Many sharks were attracted to the destruction by the commotion of the blasts, the aroma of blood, and the whipping of bodies in the water. In the wake of taking out the dead and injured, they started going after the survivors. Utilizing anything they had helpful, the mariners warded off consistent assaults from maritime white-tip sharks for 3.5 days before they were safeguarded. Between lack of hydration, openness, and a few mariners picking self-destruction instead of face the sharks, just 316 remained when the salvage boats showed up. Toward the start of the 1940s, at the pinnacle of World War II, shark assaults were viewed as by the innovative work part of the U.S. Naval Force. It was presumed that sharks were not keen on odd items drifting in the ocean and an immaterial risk to faculty. A sinking vessel would be combined with clearly upheaval, which was mistakenly expected to drive sharks away. On account of Lieutenant Arthur George Perusing, who endured the accident setting down of his plane adrift with radioman Everett Hardin Almond, sharks were undoubtedly an issue. Subsequent to crashing in 1943, Perusing depicted how he endured 16 hours warding off sharks with his optics. He watched Almond become injured, a haze of blood filled the water, and 5 sharks more than once gone after him, destroying his leg. While Perusing attempted to keep his friend above water, suddenly erupting with his optics, he was struck by a tail, breaking his jaw. They were isolated, and Almond was survived and killed. In 1978, the USS Stein, a U.S. Naval Force frigate, was performing exceptional tasks at an undisclosed area in the Pacific Sea. Its framework answerable for distinguishing submarine dangers unexpectedly went unserviceable. The boat was driven once again to the harbor, where it was found that the sonar framework had huge slices estimating 4 feet (1.2 meters) long. Inside the cuts, enormous teeth were found. On closer review, the teeth-like designs were distinguished as paws from a squid's pull cup. The biggest squid found by researchers was just about 43 feet (13 meters) in length and weighed more than 2,000 pounds (907 kilograms). The paws taken from the USS Stein are said to have a place with a squid multiple times this size. The Vietnam War was initiated after a confrontation between the United States and North Vietnamese warships in 1964. At the center of this complex interaction was the USS Maddox. One night, 380 shells were fired, and several depth charges were dropped to destroy North Vietnamese torpedo boats. However, air support reported seeing no boats. A sonar engineer recounted the events of the night to marine biologist Todd Newberry in 1966. The objects on the radar appeared as torpedoes, but they acted very strangely, as though they had a mind and will of their own. Newberry's theory was that these were rare animals known as pyrosomes. Pyrosomes are an organism made of thousands of individuals, creating a large floating structure, see-through in nature and up to 60 feet 18 meters in length. Imagine a giant tube like jellyfish without any tentacles. Not only do they appear on sonar, but they can also be seen at a distance by the bright light they emit. During the 1970s, Ohio-class submarines were a vital piece of America's Atomic Impediment Group of Three, the land, air, and ocean conveyance framework for nuclear fighting. Assuming the virus war at any point chose to heat up, the Ohio class was prepared. Indeed, even today, they are the biggest at any point submarine worked by the U.S. naval force, weighing 18,750 tons, 17,000 metric tons, and costing billions. While adrift, inconsistent issues start to show up with the subs: harmed sonar arches, electrical links, sound tests, and spilling oil lines. There was a worry Russia had produced exceptional innovation that could disrupt hardware all while getting away from detection. However, the genuine saboteur estimated around 18 inches, 46 centimeters, and was surely not Russian. Locking onto a lot bigger prey, the cookie-cutter shark eliminates chunks of tissue. We have had some significant awareness of the presence of its indentation for quite a while, with enormous fish-like fish frequently being pulled in by anglers with round injuries.